got a person down injured.
There is a situation on the estate. We're going to deal with it. There's an injured man down by a building. There's a possibility of hostile people and there's looting. Okay, that's all the information we have at the moment. So they carry forward.
Officers from A section are about to come under brick and petrol bomb attack. This is simply a public order training exercise, but it's realistic, dangerous and as stressful as if it were happening on the streets of Brighton.
The last thing you want around this area here is people getting fragmented, because it'll just be open target for the rioters. You know, and you know how it gets. The old red mist comes down with a lot of the rioters, and they get carried away with it, and people get hurt. I mean, I don't want people getting hurt, because that is not the object of the exercise. I don't want to get hurt. So if I don't want to get hurt, then I'm sure you don't either. But enjoy yourself, you know. Okay.
At the double, go! Double! Petrol bomber!
When you first start practicing with the petrol bombs, when they're coming at you, you're apprehensive to begin with. But then as you've actually done a few exercises, you've got your equipment on to protect you, and then you'll see tonight how quickly we move through the petrol bombs. We don't hang around and go and disperse the rioters. So, yeah, you're on the move all the time, so you're not aware of any dangerous situations.
We've got the caretaker on the roof! He's got a broken back! Do you want some more?
Has to be treated very sensitively, because seeing police officers in this sort of equipment can be very provocative. So you have to be kept well out of the way, should your presence become a good reason why people react the way they do sometimes.
If you deal with an incident which is stressful, I think you've got to accept that you've got to deal with that afterwards. You don't spend your life biting your nails worrying about if you're going to be shot. But on the other hand, if you do go in a situation where there is violence, or you were threatened with a firearm, or your life is in danger, then you've got to accept that, and accept that it has some physical consequences.
Hey, check in the bar to the building line, go! Go, brother! Oh!
You've got to talk to somebody about the stress you've been through, and you've got to accept that you may need professional help if the stress has been either great at one particular instant or building up over some time, that you might need to talk to somebody who's skilled in counselling about it. Whereas if you bottle it up and are totally involved in the police culture, then things can get too much for you.
Junction clear! Good, catch up!
If they come and they start attacking, run at them but come back again. We don't want to keep losing everybody, right?
Okay, right, we'll do.
As a service, we acknowledge that people sometimes can't cope. And as an organisation, it's better to have people who can't cope helped. Very often they go away, it vegetates, they don't talk about it, they start asking questions: did I do the right thing? Could I have done something different? It's becoming far more readily acceptable now for officers to go for counselling when they have problems. It's important for us to keep skilled people who've invested a lot of money in service. If we can assist that by offering them a facility of counselling, then it's a good thing.
Right, you'll be the front, 6-man overhead, okay?
An exercise like this aims not only to improve tactics, but by putting officers in the firing line, it helps them cope with pressure and develop team spirit.
Do you really want to come? Come on!
One has got to recognise that police officers and a shift of officers is a group of people, and it has a feeling of its own, a momentum of its own. They will show considerable frustration at the outcome of some things. They will be depressed, their morale will suffer. When they've been out and they've dealt with a difficult situation and they think they've done well. but they've got criticised by the public out there, and the public do criticise. You will have seen instances where the public don't like what policemen do. Nobody actually says to them, except their managers, that was a good job, you did well.
Nice warm ankles anyway.
It was good. Good little exercise.
It was heavy tonight, heavy. I don't think you would expect that out on the street, but it's a training exercise, so it was a lot of petrol bombs, yeah.
Agree with that. Missiles are worse because there's a lot more of them coming at you.
Yeah.
And they hurt a lot more than what petrol bombs do. One got me right on the collarbone. Come to Brighton then?
Just got sick of sleeping in London.
Well, we'll just do a little check on you. Have you got any ID?
No, I've got nothing, mate.
No? What's in the bag?
Just my clothes.
Is it?
Yeah.
That's all you got, is it? You got nowhere to live down here?
No.
How long you been here?
About 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah. What, you come on the train?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
There's only one thing as stressful as the unpredictable violence of the job. That's the rota system that means working regular night shifts.
Yeah, Charlie Bravo 72, person check, please, over.
I mean, you feel tired sometimes, but I don't find it difficult to sleep in the day, which is one good thing. But some people have terrible trouble with nights. And, I mean, for instance, if you come home from late turn at 10 o'clock, you don't just jump into bed. It takes 2 or 3 hours to sort of calm down, wind down, or at least to feel, you know, calm and collected enough to go to bed. But I mean, on the whole, I don't think I've coped too badly with sleep.
Yeah, the shift's a real killer. I don't get as much sleep as I did before because of the children around the house, so there's a certain amount of responsibility for me to look after them.
It's a male white, about 5'10". Who's who? Where were you born, Robert?
Derby.
In Derby? You haven't run away or anything like that, have you?
No.
No. Nobody's missing you?
No, I'm 21 now next week.
Yeah, well, people do though.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
I was the oldest.
Charlie Bravo 72, go ahead.
Charlie Bravo 72, free to speak.
You wait one.
Patrol work is a difficult job to do if you're married, for your marriage. It's a difficult job to do if you're single, but it's a particular sort of strain, really, which some wives can cope with and others can't. I think it takes a particularly understanding wife to be a policeman's wife.
I know that sometimes if I come home from work and I'm a bit wound up by everything that's gone on, then I can be a bit, I can say unpleasant, grumpy, I suppose, towards the kids and everything. I expect they wonder what's going on sometimes. But they're also a release. And it's a little strange for them, I mean, the eldest is only 5, to realise that I'm going away all night. They're a bit confused as to where I'm going all the time. So's the wife sometimes, but I mean, she's very good.
I enjoy shift work. It gives me time off when I want it. It doesn't always fit the family. It's sometimes a bone of contention at home, but generally we muddle through.
Probably 5, we're 9 to 5.
I think unless you work shift work, people don't understand how tiring and debilitating it can be. People think, oh, you have a long weekend, and it seems like a long time because it's Friday through to Monday night, but they don't appreciate that at the end of the shift, the sleep pattern is completely thrown out, and then you have 2 days before you start the next shift. The first day you spend half of it sleeping, the second day I personally walk around like a bear with a sore head. My kids will testify. And then you're back at work.
You with us? Yeah. You can't stay here, mate, because I want to lock this one. This is not one that stays open all night.
Paul Steele has been doing shift work for 17 years. Tonight, in the small hours, he's been called to evict a homeless man and his dog from a multi-storey car park.
How long have you been down here?
Too long.
Too long?
Today.
Yeah.
There's no buses going up there.
No, not this time of night.
4 o'clock.
It's half 12 in the morning.
General idea wasn't stopping in the car park.
Unfortunately, you picked the wrong one. This is one that gets closed up.
You must have been somewhere recently where you got the clean stuff from.
No, I've been up in Norton Mum's.
To your mum?
Yeah.
Where she live?
In Derby.
Oh, in Derby, all right. So you're normally sort of London area, right?
Yeah. No.
Oh, you said you didn't have any ID?
No, I ain't. Well, they said that's not ID.
Did they?
Yeah.
Who said that then?
Police in London
Oh, yeah.
said that's not ID.
It could be somebody else's.
Yeah. Just that.
Did you get turned over in London then?
Yeah, loads of times.
Yeah. How'd you get by then?
Just do a bit of begging now and again.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
stuff.
You ever been to court for begging?
No.
We're not so keen on begging round here.
I know.
No.
It's just,
And what'd you say you got in the bag?
just my clothes.
Yeah.
Nothing with your name on? No idea of any sort at all?
No.
UB40 or anything? No. Right, we make our way downstairs then. I think you've got to have a good team spirit between colleagues. You're very dependent on your colleagues, just from simple things like getting the paperwork right to prevent saving you from violence. So I think there is a strong sense of identity amongst policemen, but you tend to lump the public together as non-policemen, but I don't know that it's an us and them situation.
Yeah, nice and easy, nice and easy. Okay.
Bible and stuff.
Bible, eh? In case you have to bury anybody at sea.
Loads of stuff.
Okay. So you've given up all up, have you? Given up the life of crime?
Yeah, just 2p there.
Yeah.
Yeah, give all my life of crime up. It's not worth it.
No.
Just stay on the straight and narrow now.
All right, mate. Well, if you get yourself together and sort of find somewhere a little bit less, you know, out in the open, because somebody will turn you over otherwise.
Yeah.
We don't want that, do we?
No.
All right. Thanks for your help.
Right.
Cheers.
Cheers then.
Another 2 hours, I think. Thanks, man. All right. You all right?
Further message from Inspector Simmons with regard to Woodingdean and Moulscombe areas. A number of matters which have been reported in respect of the above two areas over the last few days which give cause for concern. In Woodingdean, there's an apparent rise of disorderly behaviour by local youth in the vicinity of Warren Road, the Fish Bar, Threshers Off Licence and Lee Motors. Staff in those premises are being subjected to abuse when seeking to exclude some youth from the premises or when refusing to sell them cigarettes or alcohol. If you're an efficient automaton that was in charge of a shift, then you wouldn't be any use to your shift on that personnel angle. You need to be a human being that knows the difficulties that can crop up in your life as a result of policing, that marriages do split up, that policemen under the pressures do sometimes have too much to drink and it becomes a problem for them. And I think if we're a good sergeant, I would hope, would be looking and finding out and getting to know the people that he's working with on a social level as well, and being able to guide them.
Further to that, in the Moulsecoomb area, concern has been expressed by the youth service. Some youths are carrying knives and in isolated cases things like Indian clubs with a nail in the end. This is not said to be gang related but a fashion among certain youths. Pocket knives have also been taken from some children in the junior school by staff, again causing concern.
Quite often people will make the big mistake of wanting to leave the police. If their marriage breaks up, their whole life is sort of falling around their feet, and if they're dissatisfied with the job, that's when the temptation is to give everything up. And I've spoken to people that have been in that situation before, and the advice that was given to them was very good advice, is keep with the police because it's a very secure and steady immovable that goes through that bad time.
A section officers are on public order duty. Animal rights campaigners are marching through the town. A local fast food restaurant has been targeted by the demonstrators.
What we asked to do was move over this side so we can block traffic down that side. If we just go over there, thank you. It's purely and solely so we can get traffic down this side as well, okay?
In the event of disorder, how officers react under pressure can be critical. Sometimes it can lead to complaints. It's another source of stress and anxiety.
The member of the public don't know how we operate and quite often see a situation and don't know the build-up to it. Just see our reaction at maybe at the end of 10 minutes of dealing with a situation, and they think, oh, that's a bit over the top, and they complain. I think that's possibly an area that as patrol officers we get let down by the rest of the force, because we seem to, the force seems to, if somebody complains against an officer and makes it public in the papers, then it seems that the force's reply always seems just to be to roll over with the legs in the air and not say anything back again.
Part of the problem is it takes a long time for the process to go through, because any matter that's involved with a criminal matter in the courts has to wait till after the court case. So there's a stress on you or pressure on you. And as Andy says, it never seems that the organisation comes back and says, yes, we've been complained about, but when you look at what we're trying to achieve, it is inevitable that we're going to be complained about, and many complaints that are made maliciously.
The march itself has passed off peacefully. Then, as the demonstration breaks up, police have to separate campaigners and their opponents. Days later, A-section officers are back in riot gear. Police have been told a man may be holding children hostage. Andy Duke and Jeff Cooper may have to break into the house.
The only thing that worries us is if there's a firearm involved. I mean, you just don't know. I think three of us can tackle most people, unless it's an absolute crackhead or whatever, but you don't know.
It's a bit different than, like, I mean, it's a lot of jobs you go to anyway that you're a bit apprehensive about getting there, but I mean, when you're getting this stuff on before you've even gone there, then obviously the likelihood is there's going to be a bit more trouble. when you get there.
Worst thing is
That's
if
what
you
we
just
got
had your
here.
dinner.
Yeah, that's right. Straight after dinner. Hat. Handkerchief? Yeah. Clean handkerchief. Okay. Right. Here we go again then.
At the house, she left her 18-year-old son, 14-year-old daughter. The ex-boyfriend has turned up, dragged the 14-year-old daughter to a TK, has then forced the daughter to phone mum. He has spoken to mum and told her to get back to Brighton, and he says nobody's going in or out of the house until such time as he's seen her. It went bent on Saturday because he has now been told that the ex-girlfriend doesn't want to see him anymore. He, today apparently, has flipped his lid a little bit, and we've ended up with the situation we've got now. The contingency plan we're going to do is this. Sergeant Powers and I are going up there. Sergeant Powers will go and knock on the door, solely to assess the situation. Sergeant Powers will have a PR on Channel 7, which he'll keep open. I will monitor that in the car. We'll stay on 36, but obviously if he goes to harm either of those kids, or especially Sergeant Powers, you will get a call, a girl in there, and what I want is a violent takedown.
Can we just put me first before the children? Sergeant Powers and then the children. Yeah.
We'll assess all that when we get up there, but I literally want to get up there, find out what's going on.
Sure.
And like I say, it could be that this guy opens the door and is quite amenable.
Can we establish what's the word for go, rather than just say go?
No, you'll get told to go. Don't worry, you won't be in any doubt as to whether I want you in that house.
Internationally recognised word help.
Help.
It may well be that he's in a very unstable frame of mind. I hope he isn't, because I'm the one knocking on the door. But it's difficult to say until we knock on the door and find out what he does. The idea of knocking on the door is that it appears as though they've just sent one police officer to come and deal with a fairly trivial matter. He won't, of course, know that if it all goes wrong, there'll be plenty of help for me.
Charlie Bravo 95, Sergeant Powers is approaching the door. Can I ask you to tell all units, please, no radio messages unless urgent?
Can you hear me, Gov?
Yeah, OK, carry on.
Right, ringing the bell now. There's movement inside.
Hi.
All right then. Is everything all right? Is everybody in here okay?
But the police have been given false information. When Sergeant Powles arrives, the man has left and the children are in no danger. Andy Duke and Jeff Cooper are stood down. Another night shift draws to a close.
Bad time the next hour and a half, just trying to keep awake. Quite a struggle. I think last night it got busy about 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
It was a little flurry.
Yeah. I think that's the thing in this job, it can get busy any time of the week, any time of the day. It just depends. Well, I suppose the adrenaline goes anyway, doesn't it? If you get a grade 1 job, then you raise your game accordingly, I suppose. It soon wakes you up. You've got something to get on with.
It's like all these things, you're only tired if you're not doing anything. As soon as you start getting jobs or start doing something, then the tiredness goes.
No, we want a decent job now, don't we? Get stuck into. I'm struggling now.
So quite wet.
I'm on my bed. Get in. Kick the dogs out in the garden for 5 minutes, straight into bed, straight to sleep.